If you love someone struggling with addiction, you know the ache of waiting, wondering, and holding on to hope.
You've seen the glimpses of who they really are and feared losing them to who they're not.
As long as they are alive, there's hope.
Between relapse and redemption is a raw and honest conversation between a mother and a daughter who've walked the long road through 20 years of addiction, Oxycontin, heroin, fentanyl, and found their way back to life, love, and healing.
Whether your loved one is lost in the spiral or fighting their way out, we created this space for you too.
To know that you're not alone, to understand more, to believe healing is still possible.
As long as they're alive, there is hope.
What relapse taught me about real love.
20 years,
Two
two
hearts,
hearts,
one
one
story.
story.
Subscribe for weekly videos that explore the real, messy, and meaningful side of addiction and recovery from both sides.
Subscribing and sharing will help others who need to hear these messages.
We will offer stories, insights, and conversations that offer hope, understanding, and truth.
And reaching more and more people is what we're really after here. So please like this, share it, subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think where we left off in our last conversation was just about relationships, and there's, boy, that could go on for months. There's so much to be said about relationships. One of the questions I had, though, or I currently have, is what was your relationship like with yourself when you were on the streets? What does that even look like? All I could use was my imagination because, as I've said to you before, I I have no clue other than passing someone by on the streets what that what goes on in their daily life, what's happening in their inner world. What was your relationship like with yourself that had you be in those places doing those things that you did?
Um,
I know it's a big question.
as when you were talking about that, just brought up the time you were driving down Main Street. And I was in a,
That was just last year.
yeah, I was with a group of people. We were just like in the middle and we were all getting loaded, and you had my son in the car and thankfully he wasn't looking. But that's what my life consisted of. Um,
I barely recognized you. I literally caught you out of the corner of my eye because your hair was short, and I hadn't seen it short probably since high school. And it was just this group of people, and just out of the corner of my eye, but you were looking on your phone for something. And so um, I just took a double take, and I knew it was you.
yeah. And it's that's actually a subject I haven't even thought about at all, actually. And that alone brings up a lot of emotions and feelings. And to look back, and let me tell you, there's many times I don't even remember.
Oh,
I
makes sense.
I don't at all. And I mean, people that I've seen in meetings, or an individual that came in to the home I'm in, brought up something, and it's like, wait, what? Like, no. But I was a very mean person, and I was very cruel, and I was mean, and I don't want to put things out there that can incriminate me in any way, but I did a lot of hurtful things. And if you had something I wanted, I robbed you for it. I took it from you. If I was sick, I'd rob you. I would fight you. I would beat you up. I would do whatever. And that's where that sickness of addiction takes you. I mean, my amends list, I believe, is step is probably going to be about 500,000 pages long. It's going to take me the rest of my life to make those amends.
I think it's important that you're even willing to admit that, though, to yourself.
Yeah, it's, I mean, even.
I'm sure we all have an amends list that we could build too.
Oh, yeah, but I'm sure mine surpasses,
Perhaps.
you know, probably 75% of the people that are still out, you know, in society, you know, and it's pretty intense. It's going to be a pretty lengthy list. But as I was sitting here, you know, you brought that up. Even it just, I at one point was a very big booster. I went into stores and I took out
what does that mean?
A booster is a shoplifter or whatever. But I would go in there and I would literally fill up trash bags or fill up shopping carts and have backpacks and duffel bags on me, and I'd walk out the store and you weren't going to stop me. And if you did, I would start throwing things at you. I would just a very mean person. And I'm not smiling because I'm proud of what I did. I'm in a way ashamed and embarrassed to talk about it, but I need to talk about it, you know? And the person that I was just months ago to who I am today is completely, you know, black and white. It's the shift I've made in my own life. And so we're talking about my old self and that of that sort. And I had no shame in anything I did, Mom. I didn't care. I didn't care if I was hurting you. I didn't care if I was hurting you. I was hurting myself, but I'd numb that. I'd take care of that. And I had the fuck it's, you know, and it's a very uncomfortable place to be. And I didn't care if your kids were standing right next to me. I was getting high, you know, and I have kids of my own. And if I saw somebody now getting loaded with my child 2 feet away, it would be a big old scene. You're like, how in the hell who do you think you are that you could just be getting loaded on the curb while we're trying to go in to eat or go into Target or go in wherever, and my child is right here? And what if you drop something and my child thinks it's candy? Or what if you do, you know, it's just the no shame and the disrespect and to my past self. It's just not somebody I'm proud of at all.
If we go back though to that self, the one that carried all that shame, and you go back to an even further past self, what was she experiencing? What was her relationship like with herself? Say, like when you were in high school.
In high school, to be honest, I don't remember a bunch of my high school years, Mom. There's been many episodes in my life that thankfully I've been able to work through with other forms of with hypnosis or whatever, that there's some things that are really blurred in my mind these days, and I'm grateful for that.
How about the earliest time that you remember your relationship with yourself? Like maybe the dialogue that went on in your head, even very young.
I wasn't good enough. I felt abandoned, and why is my dad spending time with his girlfriend instead of spending time with me?
So you remember those thoughts?
Yeah, and why is dad? And I've always throughout the years, I told myself I would never do to my children what my dad did to me. And I love you, Dad, by the way, if you're watching this. And
you and Dad have been making amends.
And Dad and I have been making amends, and we've slowly started that healing process. And but it's still painful, I remember just waiting on the porch when we lived in Mission Oaks, for Dad to show up. Dad, I'm on my way. And it'd be like 2 or 3 weeks before Dad finally shows up. And it just...
Do you remember what you were telling yourself then?
No.
I'm just curious because I'm thinking that all this somehow evolved into someone who shamed herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you said I felt ashamed, which sounds like you're shaming yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so much anger too.
Built with rage. I mean,
Uh-huh.
internally, physically, just the, and the, just the, and I mean, I'm not going to speak for anybody else out there that may be suffering with active addiction right now. But I'm going to speak for myself. And when I was on fentanyl, I was evil.
Oh.
I was pure evil. And
You
that
think the drug does that to people?
we talked about this a couple
Yeah.
videos ago, and I think that some of it has to do with the drugs, but it's like withdrawal. Ultimately, after your first week or so, it becomes mental.
Uh-huh.
You know, that there is physical things that go when you withdraw off any drug, but that's neither here nor there. But there's physical things that you have to go through, and I am not doubting that or seeing that isn't the case at all, because I've been through many times the physical. But I believe after 7-8 days, it becomes a mental thing. And I'm actually going through that with somebody in my house right now. But for my own self, I could be on something else to help me get by every day, but it's a legalized form of fentanyl, in my opinion. And
do you think that the fentanyl kind of exacerbates the pain, the rage that's already in there?
I think
I mean, we don't have to go
no,
that
no, no,
direction.
no, but
I'm just curious for you.
yeah, when I guess my biggest rage and anger and all that came out was when I was starting to come down.
Mm.
And that want, that need, that urge, like, okay, I'm starting to feel it in my body. My knees are starting to hurt. I'm starting to get antsy. I'm starting to sweat, but I'm freezing cold. You were there with me when I, made an attempt to get clean at one point. And
that was something I'd never seen before except on a movie.
Yeah. And
it was very real.
Yeah. And just the evilness that was just inside of me, but the way it came out in a totally different fashion when I needed to get my next fix. I mean, the like I was saying, the things that I did and things I don't even remember that I did, which.
So what did that do to your relationship with yourself? I mean, now you're 5 months clean. You have a clear mind. You're not using other substances, legalized substances, to deal with the illegal substances.
Mm-mm.
So now that your mind and your body have had time to, your brain has had time to purge this, and you're sitting with these raw emotions, what is your relationship like with yourself, and what can you see, like, kind of through the evolution of your relationships with yourself? Because it sounds like they've been very different at different times.
They have. And I guess now with my current self, I feel like I'm a kid learning to walk again. Mm-hmm. That, I need to learn how to, scoot before I need to learn how to have my head up before I can sit up. I need to learn how to sit up before I can crawl. Before I can crawl, or before I can walk, I need to be able to crawl. And and then comes talking and baby talk and gibberish. And I believe that pretty much over, especially since I got out of custody a couple months ago and stepping back into reality, I'm back to being not a little girl, but I'm learning how to crawl again. I'm learning how to walk again, and I'm trying to be patient with myself. I guess it's of my own self these days. I'm trying to be patient.
Like you would with a toddler.
Right, like you would with a toddler. And I'm trying to learn how to be respectful instead of disrespectful.
Like you would with a toddler.
Like you would with a toddler. I'm, learning to express my emotions in a positive way, like you would with a toddler, and taking, even if it's constructive criticism, and taking it, but not taking it in, I'm being, attacked. But okay, so maybe that's one of my, That's the word I'm looking for. It's just a moral inventory that I need to take on myself. Okay, if I'm acting that way, obviously I'm acting that way out of hurt or anger, and therefore I need to take a look at that.
And maybe just communicate it.
And just maybe communicate, yeah. And having a conversation these days has gotten easier. But at the same time, having an active conversation with somebody like this with you right now, it has me a little nervous. So I'm like moving around a little bit. But it's because I'm having to work through all this. And this is the first time I've ever worked through this.
Yeah.
And I've been on a run, as in, I've been on a run as in drugs and all that. That's what I mean. I haven't been on a real run.
I have so much love and respect and gratitude that we're able to do this. And I know that this is probably the least common way that people would do this. And when you and I talked about sharing our story together so that it's not after we've processed everything, it's real, it's raw, it's open, it's vulnerable. And I just, if at any time, I want to say too, I would gladly say, okay, we're done doing these because you and I, we matter above all else. And it's wonderful to be able to help people. I want you to know, though, that you feeling safe and secure is really important to me.
I know.
And these conversations and you sorting through them, I can only imagine, because I've had a long time to process through my own mind. As we talked about before, you were really numbed out to it by drugs, and I was just here with all my feelings. So I've had to take myself through many experiences and thoughts and emotions and those things. And I still have some, obviously, because you and I haven't had the opportunity to talk through some of these things. But I just wanted to let you know how real this is and how much I appreciate that.
Of course. I appreciate it too, Mom. And my heart goes out to, all the families out there, but all of those that are still suffering of active addiction. I know it's not easy. And I know many addicts out there still to this day. And I don't go and hang out with them. I don't talk to them. But if I'm going to court or I'm going to work or I'm at a meeting, and if I have it, or if I have a water bottle, or I have a couple bucks, or, or if they look hungry and I have food, or whatever the case is, I'm not necessarily going to give them a ride just because I know what I was like as an addict. And my heart goes out to you that are still haven't found the want to get clean. And just when you do want it, know it's possible. Absolutely possible. You just, and I've always told my mom and I've had multiple conversations, and I think my brother even piggybacked on it a little bit, but if you put just a pea-sized amount of effort into your sobriety as you did being in active addiction, the possibilities in this world are endless. And
but if it goes back to that part of you that feels you're not worthy,
right,
that you're not worth it, it makes sense how that would sabotage again.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking earlier about someone and about touching into that place in the heart. Would you say a couple things about that before we finish up?
Yeah. I know an individual, and she's come into my life, and I'm not going to put too much about her life out there, but I've noticed how critical I've been towards her, and she's going through a lot. She lost her dad a few months ago, but that, like I've said before, that's her story to tell. But she's a very needy person, very needy. And I get it. When I was in addiction, I was needy, but not that there's necessarily a difference or that I'm judging her in any way, but the needy, it's almost a mirror image of how needy she is. I'm probably was just that much, or I was that, what, I was as much needy. How would I say it?
You were needy too.
I was needy
She was
too.
mirroring your own neediness.
Yeah, and probably 10 times the amount, and I did not accept the answer no. But about this young lady, she has a lot going on, and I just wanted to help her in so many ways. And then I kind of got called out on it that I need to stop babying her. I need to stop coddling her, and and
it's really a disservice to her, isn't it?
Yeah, because if she would have missed court this morning, she would have, possibly gone back to jail. And then it's on that flip side. Okay, well, she got herself in this mess. She can freaking figure it out. But at the same time, I needed the assistance at one point. I needed that help. I needed to ask my parents to send me money for a Lyft or an Uber so I could get to court, on multiple occasions. And just because I wasn't able to take her to court this morning because I had to be at work myself. And I guess the thing I'm struggling with a little bit with that situation is I looked up the bus schedule, and I get taking the bus can suck. But when your freedom's on the line, and I guess that's where I've done growth too, it matters. And, I have a court tomorrow morning for my sentencing, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. I don't care if I have to walk there. I am not missing it, because all this effort that I put into where I am today would just be gone just like that, and I'd be sitting right back in the county jail.
But as we're talking about that relationship with the self, and if you're feeling unworthy,
yeah,
and when you're thinking about how you've been critical toward her, and the one thing you needed was to love yourself,
and that's all she needs too. She needs to know that she's worth something, and she is loved. And I just need to, like you were pointing out to me, well, just try it this way. And, it just her whole entire demeanor when I went upstairs and told her, I'm so proud of you, for coming home after court. You didn't have to. You were talking about going somewhere and getting loaded, but she didn't. So that doesn't even matter anymore. She went and did what she had to do one way or another, and she came right home. And I told her how proud I was and just gave her a big hug. And that was coming straight from my heart.
And that's something in the simplest form. It's connect before correct.
Yeah.
Because people are more open to hearing where you can call them out on something when you've connected to that part, and they don't feel ashamed of themselves,
right,
or like they're a worthless piece of shit, right? That if you're connecting on that place that says, I care about you, right? You are so worth loving yourself and being loved. And I know you don't know that right now, but I know that. And from that place, there's things you need to do to take care of yourself. And that's how you're going to show yourself that love for yourself. Right. And even with all those other stories of, well, I'm not lovable because of this, that, or the other, you start to counter that in a way that says, but wait a minute. Just like you were talking about there's different ages and stages where you've looked at yourself differently, how to relationship with yourself differently. There's this relationship that at some point was in there saying, I'm enough as I am, right? Every baby born on the planet has that feeling, just that they deserve love. They don't think it, they know it. And to me, that's that communion or that connection to God, that children come through their parents, but they come from a benevolent God that says, you are beautiful just as you are. And when we're able to remind someone of that, we have a much better chance of going in there with a bit of a course correction. Right. And that doesn't mean she's ready for that, or that anybody is, right? We never know when that time is. But that's also something to take into consideration is, as angry as you might be, or as upset or in pain as you might be with the person that you love that has an addiction, or if you have an addiction yourself, is to remember that that need for connection is inside all of us, every single one of us. And whether it's that connection with God, or it's reaching out to someone that can connect with you, and then you can share, I'm so ashamed of this. Now you've got a piece out that can start to be worked on. And it's so important, because I think that that's so much of what you're describing is you found that connection with God, and now you're finding that connection with yourself, which is allowing you to come back and connect with your family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an intense subject.
I love you,
A
sweetheart.
topic. I love you too, Mom.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe.